All right, so we've got a quick few-minute demonstration of the Bitlancer Studio Tools for Mindbody late cancel no-show processing software. So our software processes late cancel and no-show fees for Mindbody customers. It allows them to set different rates. It allows them to set up different rules and different penalties depending on the pricing option or the class or the time of class. Or even the day of the week that a class occurs. So the software is super flexible as far as allowing a studio owner to implement a policy that fits their needs. The software operates entirely via email. So all customers receive 2 reports every day. They receive a morning report, which summarizes the charges that are going to process that day for classes the previous day. So for example, on September 5th, the studio owner would receive a report for all of the late cancels and no-shows that occurred on September 4th. They receive that morning report, which I can show you right here as a sample, that just kind of summarizes the late cancels, extra late cancels, and no-shows from the previous day. And it gives the studio owner time to review the report, log into Mindbody, make any adjustments before those charges are actually processed. The charges typically process after 3 p.m. the day after the class occurs. So we do give customers at least an 8 to 9 hour window to review this report, make any changes, the charges process, and then they receive a final report later that evening. The final report email comes in at midnight, and it summarizes all of the charges that were processed from the previous day and gives you a link to view a report that details all of the charges and their statuses. So these are the 2 emails that customers might receive, the heads up morning reports and the final reports at the end of the day. And again, all of these would be classes from the previous day. So let's take a look at the preview report that somebody might receive in the morning. So studio owner wakes up, checks their email, clicks the link in the preview report, and this is what they see. This is giving the studio owner, again, a heads up as to charges that are going to be processed later that day, and it gives them the opportunity to make any adjustments necessary. The reports are all searchable, so you can type in a keyword. For example, you can type in no-show to show all the no-shows. If there's a specific class time that you want to look at, you can type in a class time. You can also export the report to a CSV. So this report, again, just giving studio owners a heads up as to what's going to happen. And then if they ignore this report, the charges will automatically process later that day. And then at that point, we do send them that final report email. And the final report email is a summary of all of our attempts to process charges and how that worked out. So I'll run through this in a little bit more detail because we do have some functionality and features of the software that I want to cover. So studio owner gets this report in the evening, and they're able to determine which charges succeeded. Those are identified here by the green checkbox. Which charges partially succeeded. So in this case, this customer's credit card failed, but we do have the ability to charge an account, a customer's account within Mindbody at certain studios, depending on their configuration. So in this case, here's an example of a situation where the credit card failed for some reason, but we applied the charge to the customer's account as a debit, which will be settled up. Next time the customer comes into the studio, they'll have a negative balance, and they'll hopefully settle that negative balance. We, of course, offer red X errors, which are essentially summarizing that a credit card is expired or there's insufficient funds or whatever the reason was that we were unable to process that credit card. Now, I do want to summarize 2 advanced features of our software. The first one is auto forgiveness. So you can see here that the staff, that this record is considered auto forgiven. So we do have the ability for studios to enable auto forgiveness, and it's a completely customizable policy. They can auto forgive customers once every 30 days. They can do it twice every 90 days. They can do it once per year, once in a lifetime. And what auto forgiveness is we basically just look to see if a customer is eligible for auto forgiveness, if they're about to be charged, and then we waive that fee on our end. And so we track that on our end. And so in this case, Frank was eligible for an auto forgiveness, received that auto forgiveness, and now next time Frank misses a class, late cancel, no shows, we'll determine at that point, is he eligible to be charged? And if he is, we'll process that charge. We do have the ability to, again, I mentioned that staff can review the morning reports and determine if there were any mistakes. So in this case, this is an example of a situation where the studio owner did not want Larry charged, and so they forgave Larry prior to charges being processed by signing them in or early canceling them from the class. So that's where the staff forgiveness comes into play. And then, of course, this is just about visits and classes being canceled. So, of course, like we're not going to charge somebody if the studio cancels the class or early cancels that visit prior to charges processing. We do also have the ability for people to set up charges for, let's say, no shows, but not necessarily late cancels. So in this case, Ryan was not eligible for a fee because there's no fee assigned to late canceling for him. But if he had no showed, he would have been charged a fee. So this is kind of just meant to give you an overall example of all the possibilities you might see in a final report. The second advanced feature I wanted to cover is our extra late cancel window. So you can see in the attendance status, late cancel, no show, late cancel, no show. Forgiven is pretty common, as I mentioned. But extra late cancel is a feature of our software that allows studios to essentially set up a second late cancel window that occurs closer to class time. So for example, a lot of our studios have an issue with people late canceling 5 minutes before class. And so we implemented extra late cancel such that studios can charge a higher fee if somebody cancels right before class begins. So as a tangible example, we work with a studio that charges a $10 late cancel fee for somebody canceling within 8 hours of class. But they also charge a $15 late cancel fee for somebody who cancels within 15 minutes of the start of class. And so that higher fee kicks in right before class begins to incentivize people to not only cancel before class begins to avoid a no-show charge, but to cancel far enough in advance that they're not going to get that extra late cancel fee. And then, of course, we allow studios to charge a no-show fee, which is just if they fail to be signed into the class, they fail to show altogether, that no-show fee kicks in. We do also offer a weekly report. So the weekly report is basically all of the final reports from that previous week merged together into one report. And this is, you can export this via CSV. Again, these are fully searchable to filter on anything you'd like. So some of our customers, this weekly report is a new feature for us. We anticipate that some of our customers will be using this to just process charge failures all at once per week, instead of having to do it every day. So that's the demonstration of the software in a nutshell. We do, again, it is a fully managed service. So we set all the customers up. If they need to make changes, they can shoot us an email and we make those changes for them. Everything is processed via these two reports that they receive daily in email. Software is generally completely customizable. Again, people can set up different penalties based off of class time, class date, the pricing option of the class. Most of our customers, for example, might charge a different late cancel or no-show fee depending on if somebody's a class pack or a drop-in customer versus an unlimited. We also see customers, for example, they have VIP memberships and they might waive 2 penalties for their VIP memberships, but not for other customers. All of that is fully supported. So we do have an FAQ on our website that pretty much goes into almost every possible question we see from a customer with very, very detailed explanations. We do have a full example here that talks through basically what I just summarized in detail around how the software works. And things like handling failed charges, what do the errors in the reports mean? How can people encourage customers to store a credit card or update their credit card? So our FAQ is pretty in-depth and is always being updated with the most common questions that people are asking. And then finally, our landing page for our website, bitlancer.com. If you go up to software and choose late cancel, we've got a little bit of an introductory video here and the features of the software, some screenshots of those reports that I just showed you, our pricing, and just a couple other things like customer quotes, etc., and the ability for people to schedule a call with our team if they have any questions. I hope this video was helpful, and if you have any other questions, we're always available at hello@bitlancer.com.